Shut up and sit down.
This is the Uncensored Voice. No bullshit, just real shit.
Discussing things that will stir the pot. Only here on the Uncensored Voice.
With your host, Ricky Midnight.
Hey guys, this is Ricky Midnight. Welcome to the Uncensored Voice. Hey, I want to talk to you today about something that we all know about. It's going to be political. It's not going to be a political discussion. But I wanted to talk to you about here in the state of Texas. We've joined 19 other states in allowing constitutional carry. Well, I'm going to kind of set the record straight for the listeners out there. Constitutional carry is, well, it's exactly what it says. The Constitution gives you the right to carry. And what that means is that you don't need anyone's permission to carry. But the Constitution didn't take into effect that 200 or so years later, there was going to be different laws in place and the government was going to be heading more towards a safety net, right? Well, since we're headed towards, or since we're in that safety net, we have to abide by certain laws. Now, constitutional carry has been allowed, even though it was allowed by Constitution before, it is now allowed by law, right? Which is a little different from Constitution. So now that it's allowed by law, we can carry a gun here in the state of Texas without needing a permit. Before September 1st, this last Wednesday, you didn't have the right to carry a gun legally unless you had a permit or you were a police officer. But now you can carry a gun legally with a couple of caveats. You can't have a domestic violence charge on your record currently. Generally, that falls off after 7 years, right? Even if you served time, your 18 months or, whatever, it's still on your record until it falls off. You can't carry a gun legally. And if you can purchase a gun, best way to look at it is if you can purchase a gun legally, then you can carry a gun. You have to be 21 years old. And then, of course, you can't have a felony on your record, which would be domestic violence would be one of the felonies. Robbing a store would be a felony, things like that, right? So as long as you can purchase a gun legally in the state of Texas through a background check, then you can carry a gun legally in the state of Texas. Now, keep in mind, you can only carry a gun in certain buildings, businesses, if there is no sign prohibiting you to carry that gun. That doesn't mean like if there's no sign that the owner or manager won't ask you to leave because you're carrying a gun. You have to leave at that point or put your gun away, go out and put it in your trunk or something like that. They have the right to refuse service for any reason, right? They have the right to refuse service if you're not wearing a shirt, if you're not wearing shoes, or if they don't like you carrying the gun. They have the legal right to refuse service to you and to ask you to leave their place of business. That doesn't mean that you're breaking the law. So if they were to call the cops are going to say, well, he didn't break the law other than not leaving your business, which would be trespassing. Okay. Now, let's go back to the legal point. If somebody has a business and they don't want you to carry and they want to tell you before you walk in the store, don't carry, they have to have a sign and it has to meet certain legal requirements. They have to have a sign in English and they have to have a sign in Spanish. And it has to be very inconspicuous, meaning posted up where you can see it easily before you walk in the front door. Because if they have it someplace where it's kind of off to the side where you can't see it as you walk in the door, it doesn't count. It has to be posted out where you can see it easily before you walk in the door in order for you to be breaking the law. So that sign has to be both in English and in Spanish. And it has to say that code, which is generally 30-6 is what the code is, right? That's 30.06 is the code. That's for licensed carriers. Right? For non-licensed carriers, they have to mention the code as well, which is, I believe, 1927, right? So that would be non-licensed carriers cannot carry in their establishment. That's one sign, and it has to be in English and Spanish. And then licensed carriers can't carry in their establishment. That's 2 more. So that's 4 signs they have to be posting. And if they don't post all 4 signs, then it's not legal, or you're not illegal in essence, right? So keep these things in mind if you're going to carry. Now, another caveat is, and it's not for you, but another caveat to this legal carry that passed on September 1, which was last Wednesday, is DPS has to offer free online safety training courses. That's part of the bill that passed. They have to offer free online safety courses. I recommend you take the course. Unless you are a former police officer and have the knowledge in the state of Texas of what is legal and what is illegal as far as the use of force, then I recommend you take it. Doesn't matter if you're military. If you don't know the laws in the state of Texas, when you can use that gun, when you can draw that gun, when you can display that gun as a use of force, then you probably should know it, because ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you break the law, you're going to pay the price. Even if you don't think that you're responsible because you didn't know it, I promise you, you will pay that price. Whether it be have that gun taken away from you, be prohibited to ever carry a gun, whether you have a license or not, because they won't issue you a license, or be fined, or be arrested, or both. So you should probably take this free course just to know the laws or the use of force, to know when you can display your gun, meaning, point to your hip, hey, look at my gun, don't act a fool, or what have you. When you can draw your gun, when you can threaten somebody with your gun. There are certain uses of force that you just cannot get around legally. So you need to know them. So, hey, I'm for constitutional carry. I think it's great. I think constitutional carry is something that, everyone should be able to do in every single state. Every single state. But I think that, people need to be responsible. And if you're going to own a gun, or display a gun, or carry a gun, whether it be concealed or not, you should probably know your state's laws pertaining to use of force. Because if you don't know your state's laws, you can get in a lot of trouble. And that shows discipline. That shows mental discipline. If you decide to learn about use of force, it shows that you have the mental discipline to control yourself. So isn't that what road rage is? When you can't control yourself, you lose control, whether you brake check somebody, you pull over, you want to get into a fight, you start shooting at them. That's what road rage is, right? Well, that's the loss of control. So if you know how to control yourself, then by all means, go out there, get yourself a gun, carry it on your hip. But if you don't have good self-control, then don't subject me and the rest of the public to you carrying that gun and losing control. And so I suggest that everybody take this free online course from DPS. Now, that only pertains to Texas. I'm not sure if other states, those other 19 that I mentioned, I'm not sure if those other 19 also have free courses, or if it was required by the law. But hey, you can even go a step further and take a handgun course. Even if you're not needing a handgun course, it might be a good idea. It doesn't cost very much. You just got to pay for the course. You got to study about use of force. And then you got to show a little bit of handgun proficiency. And learn, basically you're going to learn whether or not you should be carrying a gun. If you can't control the gun, then you probably shouldn't be using the gun. It shouldn't be on your hip. I remember a certain person whose hands were just too small to fit around a Glock 19. They couldn't hold a Glock 19 in their hand. They couldn't hold a Glock 21 in their hand. They couldn't hold a Glock 20 in their hand. It was just too small for their hand, or it was too large for their hand. So you might want to think about it. Learn a whole lot more about guns than just simply putting one on your hip because you want to look cool in front of your friends. Learn how to use it, learn how to shoot it, get proficient with it. So, hey, this is Ricky Midnight. I know this was a short podcast, but I just want to let everybody know to be safe. So, proudly unpoisoned, God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Thanks for listening to The Uncensored Voice.
Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, on The Uncensored Voice, we tell it like it is.
So be safe, my friends, and may God bless America.